Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and today we're going to talk about the interview that quarterback Tua Tagovailoa had with Dan Patrick Monday morning. What can we take away from his words and his overall mindset heading into this offseason? And additionally, we're going to talk about the draft today, specifically what the Dolphins can do to maximize the value of their assets, and they have a lot of assets. The landscape of the league shifted drastically over the weekend, and you can bet that Miami was impacted in some way. So we're going to talk about that, and as always, we'll take a quick look at the latest stories published over at PhinsPod.com. Before we get started, I really appreciate if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps out the show and helps other Dolphins fans find us and join the pod. But without further ado, let's dive in.
How would you sum up your rookie year and just how close to 100% physically you really were as you played through the season?
I would say I give myself a below average grade. I understand that it was my rookie year, but it wasn't up to the expectation that I had for myself coming into, my rookie year.
It has been a while since we heard Tua Tagovailoa speak to the media. We most recently heard from him after the thrubbing Miami took at the hands of the Bills 4 weeks ago. However, as part of Radio Row and Super Bowl week at large, we did get to hear Tua Tagovailoa himself as he made an appearance on the Dan Patrick Show, courtesy of Verizon Wireless, who definitely bought him some nice toys for subjecting himself to the media onslaught that he'll likely see if he does make any more appearances. So the interview on DPS was about 10 minutes long, and although nothing of substance was really discussed, and when I say substance, I mean, mentally how he processed the game, how he felt his rookie year went overall, things he looks forward to developing in his game specifically, none of that was discussed. We did get a look at how Tua does seem to be handling, the overall, talk and chatter of the offseason, and it was definitely in line. Consider what he's gone through, all right? After a tough year of rehab and recovery, everyone was like, is he even going to be able to play at the next level? He was drafted. He was able to work back, recover, already amazing in and of itself, and he was drafted. And he was given adulation from across the football world. People loved the kid. Then he sat, and people were waiting for him to kind of come in. They figured he would sit all season long, comes in, starts winning football games at a pretty good clip for a rookie, but yet continue to be slandered week in and week out for less than, elite level play, which again, I haven't really seen from a rookie. And if the Herbert crowd wants to hop in here, I do value wins from a quarterback. So stats are one thing. I love how Herbert was able to throw, and he looked good, and I think he'll be fine. But Tua, in his own right, had an amazing, amazing rookie season. Now, with no time to waste, the world has moved on from the disappointing rookie season to now a potential trade. So whatever you think of Tua's ability as a quarterback, you have to admit that no one deserves the kind of narrative that has surrounded this 23-year-old kid. I think he's still 22, mind you. But Dan Patrick asked him how he handled his rookie season, what he felt about it, as well as how he was reacting to the trade speculation. So Tua answered with poise, grace, lighthearted humility, everything we've kind of come to expect from the young signal caller. But here are just some of the few exchanges that Dan Patrick had with Tua.
What's it like to hear your name or have people tell you that your name's involved in possible trade talks with Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I would say that's something that I can't control. I don't have any control over, those trade deals and whatnot. But for me, my job is to, help our team win games and, help our offense contribute to the success of the team. Yeah.
Well, I was going to buy a Tua Dolphin jersey in the offseason. I just want to make sure you're still going to be there, though. Should I wait till August here, Tua?
Well, honestly, I'm not too sure. Like I said, I can't control, things that I can't control. What I can do is continue to work hard and hopefully this upcoming season.
Maybe I get an Alabama jersey. I'll get a Tua Alabama jersey. Then I'm safe.
As you heard, Tua answered every question exactly how you would expect him to, and honestly, how you would want a franchise quarterback to answer, with humility, decency, not getting upset at sort of the line of questioning that was pretty clear from the tone that Dan Patrick was setting about questioning whether the Dolphins even believed in him. So it was really good to see Tua kind of keep his poise and answer those questions, how you would want to see a franchise quarterback answer those questions. Now, just thinking about, the future I think people really, really like to focus on his play, and we've talked about this before, and I think most Dolphins fans already know this, but all of last year, I feel like this cannot be discussed enough. When a quarterback is getting ready to enter the NFL, when he's getting ready for a season, he is not only working on his physical ability in terms of strength, flexibility, range of motion, things like that. That, of course, is being worked on, which is what Tua was doing. A lot of it was in his rehab work. But he wasn't able to get on the field and start throwing 7-on-7s with his wide receivers, build that chemistry, build that cohesion, understand the playbook a little bit better, understand where his receivers like to go. Hey, DeVonta, on that back shoulder, do you like the ball in this spot? This spot? What should I be looking for? So now he can get stronger because he doesn't have to focus on rehab. He can do all those things. He can work with DeVonta Parker and Mike Gesicki throughout the offseason. He can work with Lynn Bowden Jr. He can work on the offense and what he knew he needed to improve on after 9 games of playing. So rather than, like we talked about, just working on his mobility, being able to move in the pocket without fear of injury or re-aggravation, now he can extend that range and start building his power on top of the range of motion to help with his arm strength, with his overall durability as a quarterback. And I fully believe that we're going to see a thicker Tua hashtag thick Tua in 7 months. You know, he has ample time to work on his body and improve his lower body, his core strength, as well as, like we talked about, his overall cerebral understanding of the NFL game. So regardless of what the next few months hold for Tua, I have little doubt that we will see an improved football player next season. He will, in all hopes, go on a revenge tour. And I don't think people will be disparaging his name to the same degree as we have seen over the last few months. And look, if he's unable to put it together and he struggles again and he does not look like the guy we were told he could be coming out of Alabama, then look, all this criticism is warranted. And the criticism that will follow will be warranted. I'll be surprised if that happens. We'll be the first to admit it if that happens. Just looking back on his football career, Tua not being good to great, but at least good, just doesn't make sense. He has consistently improved. From going back to his Pee-wee days, he has gotten better at every level. So him not improving at this stage and just kind of stunting in his growth and development, that's just surprising. It could happen, or he likely could enter 2021 with something to prove and really show the NFL world who they're messing with. So there was a huge trade this past weekend which changed the landscape of the NFC and, frankly, the NFL. The Detroit Lions, now under Dolphins coaching alum Dan Campbell, sent their franchise quarterback, Matthew Stafford, to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for 2 first-round picks, a third-rounder, as well as former first overall pick, Jared Goff. So this takes the Rams out of the quarterback market. And unless the Lions try to make another blockbuster move, which is unlikely considering this move, then they have little to no chance of jumping up from 7 for one of the young quarterbacks available. Just think about Miami. A year, when we were starting the rebuild, you wanted to see what your roster was made of and then build around it, right? You wanted to sort of strip the team from bad contracts and figure out what the core of your team is. And I think it makes sense for them to do that with a guy like Jared Goff. They want to best evaluate their roster and see what needs to be improved. And Jared Goff, similar to that Ryan Fitzpatrick role of 2018, will be able to sort of evaluate, or 2019, will be able to evaluate sort of what the Lions need to improve upon so that going forward with all the assets that they've gotten, similar to sort of how the Dolphins have built, will be able to improve the team. So although this reduces, some of the teams vying for Deshaun Watson, like I said, I doubt the Lions are really going to do that. Although now that they have all the capital, they really could try to make a move like that. I just don't foresee that considering they brought on Jared Goff's contract and there's no way they could afford Watson. So they're done. Of course, the Rams now have absolutely no capital and they have gotten their quarterback in Matt Stafford. So the Rams are out of contention. So now that means more spotlight on teams like the Jets, the 49ers, and, of course, the Miami Dolphins. So we do want, not only is it the fact that less teams are vying for Watson, less teams are going to be vying for a potential trade-back scenario with Miami. Because now one of the teams that was mocked often for Miami to move back with was the Detroit Lions. They would move up from 7th overall to number 3 to take one of the signal callers for the future. And people thought maybe they just sort of let Stafford play out a year and let the guy sit. But now that they have Goff and a lot more assets, I just don't foresee them moving up to take the third guy, right? When you have assets like that, take the guy you want. And I just don't see the Lions doing that. So with that in light, let's for a moment imagine that the Dolphins stay put. They stay at number 3. Who should they take? So we're just going to run through some names. You've probably heard of pretty much every single name here, but I just want to sort of touch base on why they would make sense for Miami or why they might not make sense. So there's the number one name, in my opinion, is Penei Sewell. So he's a monster. He can be plugged. He can plug and play immediately. He can improve the offensive line on day one. Tua will get more time to throw. The run game will benefit from more run lanes. So although this pick isn't sexy and it doesn't necessarily feel like at this stage it's what Tua needs in his development, getting a potential, all-pro tackle, potentially who can start his career inside and really help out, that helps an entire offensive unit and a team. So I have no issues if that were to be the move. However, if you consider the assets that the Dolphins have put to their offensive line over the last year, I don't think they would take Sewell. The reason for that is because you hope that you would see some natural progression from your young linemen, right? So Austin Jackson, Solomon Kinley, Robert Hunt. If they improve, then getting a guy like Sewell just frankly might be overkill when you have, guys who can potentially fill those roles adequately. And, it's not like you're taking a great tackle prospect who fell and now he's available in the second round. No, this is the third overall pick. So my personal favorite would be Jamar Chase. He's my favorite receiver. He's a playmaker. He gives me Antonio Brown vibes. He knows how to get open. He attacks the ball when it's in the air. He plays with an edge, very physical. I would love to add him to the offense and just see the fireworks that could ensue when you have a guy like him in the slot with Devontae Parker, potentially some free agents you're able to bring in as well. I think a guy like Jamar Chase could really help. And on the same token, DeVonta Smith. Don't think he's far off from Jamar Chase. Purely the only reason I have Jamar Chase over DeVonta Smith is because of the build. That is it. As much as everyone's saying, hey, Marvin Harrison did it, why can't DeVonta Smith? I just think that is rough. For third overall, I'd rather someone that I won't be scared is going to break. And Jamar Chase, I don't think is going to break. I think he's a very physical guy who can really play game in, game out. I'm just worried at the next level, a guy like DeVonta Smith, who, like I said, fireworks would ensue. And I can't say anything about Smith that hasn't been said before, but, being as skinny as he is, 16-game seasons, full year round, your body being worked on. And people say, well, he'll get to the NFL, he'll grow into his body. He's not like a kid. Like he is a man. He's about to make millions of dollars. He was at Alabama, the number one conditioning program in the world. So I would think that if they were able to bulk him up a little bit from his freshman year, we would have seen something. But so far, he's really just gotten lean, which might help. But it's really my only concern is his body type. Other than that, in terms of his ability, his game, his mental aspect, the intangibles, his relationship with Tua, look, there's nothing that beats it. But it's important to note that the last receiver who was taken in the top 5 was Corey Davis for the Tennessee Titans, and he's a pending free agent now and replaced by a receiver they took in the second round a couple of years later in A.J. Brown. So that right there should just show you that if Miami were to invest in a position this highly at number 3, I'm not sure it should be a receiver position. And that's where I sort of look at, the other name on the list. And although this might be a reach at number 3, I just think his name's not being thrown out there enough. So I'm going to do it. Micah Parsons. He's a beast. He can be plugged into the defense on day one and replace Landon Roberts, fill in for some roles that Jerome Baker filled in. He'd immediately upgrade our run defense and overall defense as well. And look, I think Miami would be able to move Baker around a lot more if Parsons were able to occupy the middle of the field. He's a classic modern-day sort of thumping linebacker. Think Donta Hightower, sort of that skill set, which is why I think he fits in Miami's defense, even though as a coverage linebacker, he has some room to grow. But overall, as a player, he's big, explosive, quick, violent, and overall pretty smart. He does know how to get to the backfield and make a play. So by all means, he is not a bad addition to Miami's defense. And if they were, and we're going to talk about some potential options for the Fins if they trade down. And Micah Parsons, I think, makes a lot more sense in a trade down. But I just wanted to say some names other than Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase, and DeVonta Smith. So there's Micah Parsons. But what do you guys think? Is it going to be Smith at 3? Would it be best for the team to move back, acquire more capital, or take the guy when you're in the top 5? Because it's hard to get there. So take the guy when you're there. What do you think? Let us know in the comments if you're listening on YouTube or on Twitter and Instagram at PhinsPod as well. Lastly, I just want to touch on Instagram this week. posted a post, one of the guys who runs the Instagram, essentially stating that the Dolphins are still waiting for the offensive coordinator to be announced, and we're likely going to have to wait a little more than a week. There was a report from Armando Salguero, friend of the show, Armando Salguero, saying that the Dolphins will likely have that in a week or so. So 2 weeks, 1 week, 4 weeks? I don't know. That's Armando reporting for you. But that was then cited on the PhinsPod Instagram account. However, it wasn't cited correctly. Rather than saying in a week or so, the person running the Instagram page said this week. So error on our part that, we'll make sure not to make those errors. As we aren't a legit, we aren't the Miami Herald, Mr. Salguero, but we do hold ourselves to a high standard at PhinsPod. So we're definitely going to correct that. Now, in terms of your other comments, feel free to go check out PhinsPod on Instagram, because Mr. Salguero felt the need to post a comment. And, we had a little bit of an exchange. So feel free to go read that up if you're a fan of Mr. Salguero. If you're not a fan of Mr. Salguero, take a look at it as well. Proceeded to then block us after leaving a comment on Instagram. Sort of a hit-and-run action there. So whatever. I'm not one for petty beefs. Mr. Salguero himself, he's a fine reporter. He's been in the business for a long, long time. He knows what he's doing. I might not be a fan of how he does it. But he knows what he's doing. So whatever. The fact that we're on his radar, hey, we must be doing something, right? But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. That's going to do it for us here today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, I really hope that you got something out of it. Please remember to subscribe to the show wherever it is that you listen, just to never miss a chance to chat about your favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. The show itself is available on all platforms. That's Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube as well. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Continue the conversation on Twitter and Instagram at PhinsPod, and check out the site for news and content, phinspod.com. I hope you have an amazing day, and until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.